Good morning, everybody. Welcome to City Hall, welcome to Council Chambers, and welcome to meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Wednesday, March 9th, 2005. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Your attention, please. The City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. Meetings are open to the public, and we do invite you to join us. For members of the public unable to attend council meetings, we can be viewed live on your cable station, Channel 35. We can also be viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage or heard via council phone. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weisstein, Padilla, 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, before beginning with today's business, I'd like to just take a moment to congratulate a number of people. First of all the council members who were reelected last night. All the odd-numbered council districts were up on the ballots, and we have a number of incumbents that have been reelected, including Mr. Reyes, Mr. Zine, Mr. Weiss, Ms. Perry, and Mr. Garcetti, and Ms. Hahn. So congratulations to all of you. I'd like to keep the team together.
And Mr. Padilla.
And myself, your humble servant as well. And also, colleagues, a brief note to really commend two of our colleagues who took a bold leap and put themselves out there in the mayor's race. Mr. Villaraigosa has made the runoff. Mr. Parks has not. But as any of us office holders know, it's a big decision. It's a big step just to put your name on the ballot and put yourself out there before the voters for approval or otherwise. And so we want to commend them for furthering the discourse of the future of the city of Los Angeles and letting the voters dictate to us what their priorities are. And with that, then let us tend to the business at hand. Mr. Labange.
I just want to thank all the city clerks, Frank Martinez, and all the people over at Piper Tech last night who were working way in the morning for their efforts in trying to get the election done. And I think we should give the city clerk a big hand, right, Alex?
Absolutely.
It's Frank Martinez right there.
Mr. Martinez is here to answer any questions, and I don't think he slept yet, but there was a little bit of frustration that the results were slow in coming, but as he told me a couple days ago, we'd rather do it slow and get it right. This isn't Florida, after all. So, Madam Clerk, first order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Perry moves, and Mr. Garcetti seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Zine moves, and Mr. Smith seconds.
Mr. President, this is a time for comments from the public on items not on council's agenda.
Let's actually go through the agenda and dispense with consent items, and then we'll return to general public comment.
Okay, on the regular agenda, items noticed for public hearing, items 1 and 2 are both street lighting districts, and council's recommendation would be to open the hearing and continue the hearings and ordinances to March 29th.
Okay, we do have a card on item number 2. We'll call that special. We don't have a card on item number 1, so public hearing is open and without objection continue to March 29th.
Item number 3 is also a public hearing item, and I believe Mr. Zine wishes to continue that matter to March 29th.
Okay, members, any objection to continuing item number 3? Seeing none, the item is so continued. Next item, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 4 through 61. Item 4, a report has been submitted, and that is recommending receiving and filing in as much as the appointee has withdrawn.
Members, any objection to receiving and filing item number 4? Seeing none, item 4 should be received and filed. Leaving items 5 through 61.
50 for Councilman Ludlow.
Okay. Let me announce that items 5 through 61 have had public hearings in committee. A motion from the floor would be required to reopen the public hearings. And seeing no such motion, let's go with specials.
Item
50
5,
was
please.
called special. On
27.
Mr. Garcetti.
26. Two speakers on both sides. A 5-minute public hearing.
Okay, Mr. Garcetti calls 5 special.
And also, excuse me, Mr. President, on item number 36, there is a recommendation to refer that matter back to HCED committee.
Any objection? If not, item 36 is so referred. Ms. Miskowski.
Item 29, special.
29 calls special by Ms. Miskowski. Mr. Labange.
26 and 27.
26 and 27. Any other specials? Members, items 5 through 61. What has been called special is item 5, item 26, 27, 29, and item 50. 36 has been referred to committee. If there's no further request for specials, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on the balance of the items. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Those are approved. Items 6 through 12 are ordinances and will carry over for a second reading. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held. Items 62 through 118, 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, members 62 through 118 now before us. I do have cards on items 83, 87, 96, 100, 103, 104, 109, and 111. We'll call those special to hear from members of the public. On the balance of the items, I do not have requests from members of the public to address the council. Public hearings are open and closed. Request for specials, Ms. Perry?
Sorry, Mr. President, I just wanted to request reconsideration on 52, and I wanted to call that special.
Okay, we'll come
Thank
back to
you.
you in just a second. Mr. Garcetti?
Can we send 35 forthwith, please?
Okay, we'll do forthwith on 35. Any specials, Mr. Labange?
111, please.
111 call special by Mr. Labange. We do have a card on that. Ms. Gruel?
I just want 114 to go forthwith.
Which item?
114?
114. Okay, after the vote, we can send that item forthwith if approved. Any other specials? Members, seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Items 62 through 65 are ordinances and carry over for a second reading. Let's send item 66 forthwith, 114 forthwith. Sounds good to me, Madam Clerk. Members, all items approved today shall go forthwith, given that we'll be in recess next week. Next item, please.
Next items are the closed sessions, 119 through 123. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Let's hold all closed session matters on the desk.
And that would take council back then to public comment.
Okay, let's do a couple of things. We do have general public comment for today's meeting. We do have a commissioner, oh no, we received and filed that item. Let's go next to presentations. And before presentations, a pledge of allegiance. If the clerk is still here, is Frank Martinez still in chambers? Mr. Martinez, the man in charge of making sure that every vote is counted.
Lead us in the pledge.
How fundamental to our democracy. Would you please lead us in our flag salute? And thank you for doing such a fine job.
Place your right hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this point in time, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Cardenas for a presentation.
This morning, it's my pleasure and my honor to recognize one of the finest group of workers that we have here in the city of Los Angeles, and that is the men and women who handle our convention center here in Los Angeles. Let me give you an example of what they did just recently that went seamless and smooth as can be, and we didn't even notice it. Recently, we hosted the Grammys, the 2005 Grammys, and in that presentation, the Los Angeles Convention Center employees set up and struck 38,000 chairs, 1,050 tables, 80 risers, and 32 performance risers during the Grammy weekend. On an annual basis, the staff sets up close to 1 million chairs, 15,000 tables, and 3,000 stages. With that, I'd like to bring up to the podium George Rackus, General Manager. Also, Paria Abbasi, Assistant General Manager. and more importantly, in my opinion, the 28 workers who are here with us this morning that we're going to celebrate. Por favor, pasen. Adelante. Come forward. Colleagues, as elected officials, we all know we make a lot of promises, but who gets all the work done? People like them who stand behind us and actually work day to day to make sure that we move this city forward and we do wonderful things. What I'd like to do is read the certificates of recognition that we provided for these individuals and for the convention center. And one of them reads, "For your amazing work in setting up equipment during the 2005 Grammy Awards weekend, thank you for your hard work and dedication throughout the year in making all events taking place at the Los Angeles Convention Center a success. You truly exemplify world class." And that goes to our Los Angeles Convention Center. In addition to that, I'd like to read both the Spanish and English version of some of their certificates, and it says, "En reconocimiento de su extraordinaria labor en el acomodo de equipo durante el fin de semana, en el cual se celebraron los 2005 Grammy Awards, se le agradece su excelente trabajo y dedicación durante el año, el cual contribuye en gran parte el éxito de Los Ángeles Convention Center. Usted personifica la frase servicio de primera clase." Felicidades. Okay, and these son para ustedes. Cada uno va a recibir uno.
Mr. Zine, did you say something?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to acknowledge the crew there at the Convention Center, George, and your wonderful people. And when we build that hotel in downtown Los Angeles, the crew, the folks over there at the Convention Center, be getting a lot more chairs putting up, a lot more tables, because there'll be a lot more conventions coming to the city of Los Angeles. So I've been there on many occasions. You've got a very professional group of people working there. They're very polite, courteous, efficient. I want to acknowledge that. And when this new hotel comes in, stand by for more work, more overtime, because we'll be bringing more conventions to downtown Los Angeles, revitalizing that entire area. So congratulations to you all for doing a fine job for the people of LA. Thank you.
We have, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's only appropriate that we give this recognition to our world-class convention center. And without a world-class group of folks running it and working there every single day, we wouldn't be the city that we are. I'd just like to give an opportunity to the management, and maybe you can bring up one of the workers to say a few words about what your philosophy is and why you do such a wonderful job.
Thank you, Councilman. On behalf of the staff of the Convention Center, I'd like to thank you and the City Council for this recognition. These individuals that we have behind us perform extraordinary work on a day-to-day basis and provide us a level of confidence that we can go into any event and perform at a level that we know it's going to take to get the job done. And these are our unsung heroes, because without them, we could not commit to the level that we do on a day in and day out basis and perform at the level that we do on a day in and day out basis. And we're very, very fortunate to have such a hard-working group of individuals that take pride in what they do and represent the Convention Center in the city at such a high level. Thank you very much for this recognition.
Thank you. Por favor, unas palabras. Un representante de los trabajadores. Ándele, pasen. Come on up.
¿Lo puedo decir en español?
Sí, por favor, en español, inglés, lo que quiera.
Okay. My name is Leopoldo Hernandez. I'm the events supervisor, and I'm part of the charge for this team. And thanks to the city councils. And this job is very easy when you have nice administration, support from the general managers, for the assistant manager, and Mr. Philip, Mr. Poria Abasi, and thanks so much.
¿En español? ¿Algo?
Muchas gracias. Le agradezco a los City Councils este reconocimiento y esperamos representar un poco más a la ciudad de Los Ángeles.
Gracias. Muchísimas gracias. Once again, world-class individuals providing service at a world-class convention center, and as Dennis Zine said, we're going to get bigger and better very soon, and we're going to have more conventions than we've ever seen in the city of Los Angeles. Once again, let's give them a hand.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas, and to all the workers of the Convention Center for the great job they do all year long. Members, that was our only presentation today. We will now go to the public comment period. I have 3 cards that were submitted, so let me call Mr. Melrose Larry Green, Belinda Wright, and Commissioner Sam Brantley.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Melrose Larry Green. I won't be long. You know, the elections were tough. It's tough to lose. I've lost twice in the mayor's race. All of you have won around here. I want to congratulate all 5 candidates. It was a 5 major candidates. There I go again, and Walter Moore. It was a great campaign. But the reason why I'm talking this morning is not to gloat. We all know that I support Antonio Villaraigosa. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to gloat. I'm here to say that we have to run a clean campaign. A clean campaign for the next 2 months and unify the city of Los Angeles. The problems are not Hahn or Villaraigosa problems. The problems facing this city are many. But one thing I did want to talk about very briefly, congratulations to Eric Garcetti and Alex Padilla on your victories. It would be amazing if you didn't win, nobody ran against you. This is insane. This is insane. People must get involved. Politics is great. Government is great. Run. If you live in a district, run. I'm not going to allow Tom Labaj to run unopposed in the 4th district, so somebody run against him, or else I will. But on a serious note, you didn't come here to hear Melrose Larry Green. Congratulations to the victors. Those that didn't win, don't give up. But remember, this is my warning to Mayor Hahn, who also took money from Enron. Run a clean campaign. Stick to the facts. Don't fire below the belt, because I've got instructions from my man Antonio to always be clean and always be above board. And you've got my pledge. You know I'm passionate. You know I'm passionate. But let's have a clean campaign. Let's have a clean campaign for the next 2 months, and may the best man win. Thank you very much. And now for other speakers.
Thank you. Belinda Wright.
The 3900 Westside Olympic Speedway moment of silence for Devin Brown was touching. The blame game can consume the best of us as human nature, but the best of us find our way. A healing occurs and positive participation begins, such as phone banking for the person you believe will be there for your community. Then a checkered tie drops and diplomatic immunity begins. Crash 1 occurs February 27th, 0200 hours at 3900 West Olympic Boulevard. Crash 2 occurs March 1st, 1900 hours at 7th and Western Avenue involving a van and 2 cars. Crash 3 occurs March 3rd, 1940 hours involving a new black Mercedes and a souped-up white Toyota at Crenshaw and Olympic Boulevard. Early buses, late buses. Incidentally, 2 of these crashes I saw while using an MTA bus stop for a bleacher. It's quite a show right up to the point when someone is killed. So I think we should do something, about the extensive reckless driving, and I agree with Megan's law. That's probably a good law. So, okay, have a nice day.
Thank you. And our final speaker is Commissioner Samuel Brantley. Is Mr. Samuel Brantley in the room? If not, we will now close the public comment period, And Madam Clerk, let's go back, since we now have 12 members, to all of the items today that were approved as ordinances and went over for 1 week. Let's call those for reconsideration.
Okay.
Do you have the listing?
And that would be, item number 5 was called special, so that would leave items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 62, 63, 64, and 65.
Is there any objection to those items that the clerk just read being reconsidered? If no objections, then those matters are before us. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
Those are now all approved, and we will send them all forthwith to the mayor.
Okay, the next item then before council is item number 2, and that was called special for a card from the public.
Item 2 is now before us, and let me call on Ms. Sylvia Lynn Hawkins on item number 2.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sylvia Lynn Hawkins. I would just like to take time out today to congratulate all of the councilmen and councilwomen in their re-election and those that won their election, and also to our most important new mayor, Councilman Antonio Barracas. And we're very happy to be a part of voting, and I would like to say everything that has been done illegal, well, I guess that is a part of government.
Ms. Hawkins, can I ask you to talk about the
Okay.
lighting district? This is item 2, a lighting
Yes,
district.
and also concerning the streets and the roadways, concerning the three-way connection of lights. I think we should be very positive and very cautious of the meters and the danger zone of bombs being set under meters once we place a quarter in the meters. I believe some was found in Inglewood and in the arena of the Coliseum on King Boulevard and Figueroa. I'm very concerned also about the safety zone of our councils, and I would just like to say thank you very much. Have a nice
Thank you. All right, that closes the public hearing on item 2. That matter on the street lighting district is now before us.
Madam President, on that matter, council can continue the hearing in the ordinance to March 29th.
All right, that will be the order. We will continue that to March 29th. Next item.
Next item is item number 5. That was called special by Councilmember Garcetti for public hearing.
Mr. Garcetti, item 5 is before us. Do you want to introduce that before we have the public hearing?
Move a 5-minute public hearing, please.
All right. There are a number of cards submitted on item 5. There is let me call on Mr. Larry Gross for the Coalition for Economic Survival, Carolyn Clark, Susan McClellan. I will read off the next names after that. Mr. Gross.
Hello, my name is Larry Gross. I'm the Executive Director of the Coalition for Economic Survival. We're here today to fully support the proposed ordinance before you. After almost 3 years, we are on the verge of completing a very long and important process. By approving this ordinance, you'll be shutting the door on a loophole that has allowed landlords to target long-term, low-rent tenants for evictions so they can jack up rents. Major rehab was never about making needed repairs. This ordinance will also protect against construction work that forces tenants to move due to dangerous physical and health conditions that are created or tenants' loss of quiet enjoyment of their homes. In addition, the proposal will benefit small landlords by providing them full cost recovery on legitimate rehab repairs. The time has come to eliminate this vehicle used by greedy speculators to destroy affordable housing who seek to maximize their profits at the expense of low-income and working-class tenants. The time, effort, city funds, plus the extreme need makes it imperative that we do this now and we do it right. This proposal does it right. We urge your full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Carson Clark.
Good morning. I heard recently that the housing market is geared to the incomes of the poor and the undereducated. While I object to that, I guess it has to be. The middle class is gone because the cost of living is too high even for them. Other reasons were given, but the move is so massive that Channel 7 did a segment on it. Everyone interviewed said the same thing. It's too expensive to live in LA. They also did a segment on people no longer able to sell their homes or having to sell them at drastically reduced prices. Food trucks, once going only into downtown or parks, are now stopping in neighborhoods. On Wilshire Boulevard, for instance, every Saturday, there is a truck that comes. The people that come there are often the homeless, but some are from the apartments, and they are there 30 to 1 to the homeless. Lately, I've been hearing a lot about schools and transportation, but I think you have to agree that affordable housing comes first. Thank you.
Next speakers will be Susan McClellan, Brett Terrell.
Hi. I live in Los Feliz, and I support this proposal. And there's a crisis of affordable housing in the city of Los Angeles for the poor, including people on limited fixed incomes like seniors and the disabled, single working parents, young adults starting their careers, and other low-income workers. People are leaving Los Angeles because of the lack of affordable housing, and seniors, the poor, and disabled are becoming homeless. You know, Section 8 funding and housing and other housing programs are not available to the majority of the poor right now. And vulnerable people are living in fear of losing their affordable housing because there is almost no affordable housing available for the poor. We need more support and protection for renters' rights and more affordable housing, not less. The poor and most vulnerable in our city need to be defended. The poor can barely pay their rents now and need the assistance of food pantries in order to survive and other public assistance. Also, I'd like you to consider, for the poor who can't afford even this increase, that, the 10% increase that's on this proposal, maybe there'll be some sort of assistance for them, like there is for the phone or gas, electric. Because some people are on fixed incomes that are around extreme poverty or below extreme poverty, and they may not be able to even afford this increase. Please approve this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now call on three card speakers this is the final speaker on this side, then we have three in general comment.
Good morning. My name is Brett Terrell, and I've been a housing advocate with the Inner City Law Center for over 17 years. And we're also here on behalf of this proposal and urge the City Council to approve it. We've had cases over the years where landlords literally tear down the walls around the tenants, rip off roofs during the rainy season, and we filed suit on behalf of these tenants in these cases, and we're able to win damages when they've been injured. But that's after the tenants have already been injured, and the children are the ones that suffer the most. This litigation is time-consuming, costly, and clogs the courtrooms, and many tenants cannot find representation for these cases. So we need a solution to stop this problem before more people are hurt, and we believe that this ordinance covers that. The current system rewards bad landlords who do not invest money to maintain their properties, the property decay, and then they're able to go in and start doing renovation even with the tenants there, and the tenants have no choice but to leave. Then they can raise the rents after that. So we urge the council to vote for this.
Thank you. I will now call on the three speakers who marked the general comment box. Tara Bannister from the California Apartment Association, Richard Otterstrom, and Victor Virecti.
Good morning, council members. My name is Tara Bannister. I'm the executive director of the California Apartment Association and a resident of the city of Los Angeles. I'm here to make general comments in regards to this ordinance. There's been 3 years now that nobody has been able to do any major renovations or primary renovations on any apartments. So we'd like you to pass this immediately so we can get going on fixing places that people live. And then, because like everything, life is a river and not a pond, there will be things that we will need to fix 1 year or so after this, after we've taken a good sampling of landlords out there to see how the program works and how it doesn't. So that's what I am coming here to say today. And then finally, there's 2 problems in the city of Los Angeles in regards to housing. 1, there's not enough affordable housing. And 2, we need to improve the quality of life for every Angelino. This one does number 2. Thank you.
Hello, Richard Ottestrom. I am the Public Policy Chairman for the Greater Los Angeles Association of Realtors and co-chairman for AGLA's Los Angeles Governmental Relations Committee. And I agree with the last speaker that this program should be put into effect just as quickly as possible. It isn't the solution for everything, and we know that it's going to take some tinkering to get it working right, and there's a lot of things that the RAC has to judge on eventually so that it can actually work. But one thing that we're saying is that this does not take care of all housing needs. And I would ask the council to take another look at eviction for major rehabilitation, where we do not propose to support speculators who come in and evict tenants unfairly. We realize that there are some of the really older properties that have been eaten away by termites. The plumbing is no good. The electrical is antiquated. These properties need to be torn. The stucco needs to be torn off. The plaster needs to be torn off. All the systems need to be replaced. They need new doors, new windows. We're talking about renovation that takes 6 months to a year, sometimes more. It's about half the cost of building a new building, so it does preserve property. The primary renovation program is not economically set up to take care of those kind of properties. Neither is the LA Housing Department's new housing preservation program. These programs take care of the middle range, but there are some pieces of housing, quite a few actually, in Los Angeles that need to have complete relocation of the tenants so that the building can be virtually rebuilt. And we would like the Housing Department and the Council to take a look at those housing needs and see if we can't incorporate something that'll replace major eviction for major rehabilitation that we will be able to use on those housing
Thank you.
units.
Final speaker will be Victor Varick.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the Council. Compared to having the current moratorium on evictions for the purpose of primary renovation of apartments, older apartments in Los Angeles need to be renovated. But to think that the restrictions in the proposal would lead to the preservation of affordable housing in Los Angeles is absurd. Because of the draconian restrictions Los Angeles has placed on owning and operating apartments, their deterioration is accelerating. The increase in costs such as workers' comp, liability insurance, utilities, and property taxes, including school bond service, have escalated much faster than the 3% that we've been limited to over many years. The proposed rent increases of a tiered 10% is wholly inadequate to cover the costs of major renovation. Including the required relocation assistance, an owner would be extremely lucky to get by with any less than $18,000 per unit for primary renovation. Considering a typical 20-year improvement loan for that amount, monthly payments per unit would be $118.79 at 5%, and but typical rents for such apartments, particularly in the inner city, are less than $700 for a one-bedroom apartment. That would be like a $70 increase, and the rents are less than $850 for a two-bedroom apartment, which would be $85 a month. Maximum rents for means-tested tenants, according to LA Housing Department, are $668 for one-bedroom apartments and $800 for two-bedroom apartments. That's for the year 2004. As you can see, the allowed rent increases would fall far short of covering the cost to finance needed primary renovations. It's your choice to prevent or escalate the housing stock deterioration. And I have copies of this.
Thank you. We'll have the sergeant pass that around. Thank you. Could the sergeant take this information? Thank you. That concludes the public hearing on this matter. Let me call now on Councilmember Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Madam President, and thank you to everybody who's taken time out to be here today after a very long journey on this. Let me thank my colleague Wendy Gruhl, who was chair of the Housing Committee, I think, when we first heard about this as well, and other members of the Housing, Community, and Economic Development Committee. This has been a long time coming, and I want to thank what we sometimes refer to as both sides, but I think that this shows that there doesn't always have to be two sides, and indeed there shouldn't be two sides when we are all working together to further a common end, which as Ms. Bannister said, we all want to see an improvement of life here in Los Angeles, and we all want to work on housing issues together. And this is a great ordinance. It does that. I want to thank the City Attorney's Office and the Housing Department. When we first heard about this, we wanted to make sure that all people were at the table. We insisted upon that. All voices needed to be a part of this to make sure that it worked for tenants, that it worked for the owners, because this is something that is going to be implemented by owners and it's going to be felt by tenants. And if it fails in either way, shame on us. So the one-year check-in is a very important check-in so that tenants can tell us what's not working, so apartment owners can tell us what's not working, if anything, and that we can make sure that we consistently improve this ordinance. But what this does, colleagues, quite simply, is it outlaws the eviction of individuals based on what was sometimes being abused by folks as the rehabilitation ordinance, saying, no, really, we just want to rehabilitate, when often we found out people wanted to evict and get rid of rent control tenants at a certain level. At the same time, it answers the call that many property owners said, that give us some assistance to do this in the right way. It allows them to be able to recoup some of that money. I know that tenants groups weren't completely happy with the percentage. I know that property owners aren't completely happy with the percentage. I think that probably speaks that this is a good middle ground of how we can make sure that people can get that money back from the investments that they do. And I would underscore what one of the property owners, or maybe it was a tenant, said in committee. If we invest in upkeep, this should actually take care of most renovation, and that ongoing upkeep is a very important part of the overall picture. We also heard from the apartment owners groups that we want to have other programs to make sure that the smaller owners can take out loans to be able to do some of the rehabilitation work that they need. And I want to thank Mercedes Marquez and everybody in the housing department, because as we talked about in committee, those programs are being rolled out right now so that owners of 2 units and 4 units and 6 units can take out very low interest loans, not the market rate loans that we have heard about, that they can then invest into their properties, making sure that we preserve that affordable housing and that quality of life here in Los Angeles. So today I urge your support of this, colleagues. It's a good step forward for Los Angeles, closing one loophole while at the same time opening up an opportunity for those who own property, who are a part of the solution here, and continuing to make sure that we have affordable, good, safe, decent housing for everybody in Los Angeles. Let us not rest on our laurels with this, though. Let us check back in a year, and let us expand that program for the investment of the decent housing that all people deserve to live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Councilmember Zine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is there a 1 year in the ordinance that it comes back for review? Okay. I want to congratulate Eric. I know that you spent a lot of time on housing and trying to provide a balance in the fashion that favors everyone. It was interesting to hear from the opposing sides, and oftentimes we have the opposing sides to hear from the industry and to hear from the tenant side. That appears to be somewhat of an agreement, and I think that after a 3-year conversation, 3-year meeting, it's finally come to a resolution. So listening to the apartment owner side, and I'm sensitive to both sides on this, as the owners know and as the residents know, when I hear you folks coming together, I want to congratulate you for coming together, which makes it a lot easier for us to support this ordinance with the review in a year and iron out any difficulties that may exist, because I'm sure there will be some, but at least we reach agreement for the people who own the properties, the people who manage the properties, and the people who live in the properties. So I want to offer my congratulations to Eric for the hard work you've done, also to the tenant groups, also to the apartment association that have come together on this. So congratulations to you for a good job.
Councilmember Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I rise to thank you for your consideration and I hope your approval of this measure. 3 years ago, when I was sitting on the Housing Economic Development Committee with Wendy Grew chairing and Councilor Garcetti sitting at that table, who now chairs that committee, we heard of many of the incredible, intolerable conditions both the tenants and the landlords were living through as there was this challenge in how to put together a process that spoke to how you treat people with humanity, with dignity. But when you think about it, over 65% of the city, people living in the city are tenants. When I look at my district, over 85% of my district are tenants, which means we also have that many landlords. So the bottom line is we need to find a way to work through this process. When folks start taking positions, we just don't want affordable housing in my neighborhood, we just don't need it in my neighborhood, and yet we expect people to clean the homes, we expect people to clean their offices, and yet we're mad about traffic, we're mad about pollution, yet we want to pay them the amount they need to pay insurance, allow them to pay rent, and so we get congestion, we get pollution. So this is one piece of a very complex challenge that we have as a city. But the fundamental right to have a roof over your head is something we should never abandon. I believe this ordinance gets us to a point we can at least start addressing each interest group with a level of balance, without fear of who we are going to step on, but to actually start talking about one community and one city. What blows me away is that in my neighboring city in South Pasadena, the median income there is $55,578, where the median income for a family of four in my district is $19,000. So when you talk about the disparity that exists in our region, this is not just a City of LA problem, this is a regional issue. And we as a council, those of us that are here for the next 48 months, have a real challenge before us. Because we talk about regional issues, critical problems, and it took us 3 years to get here. 36 months out of the last 48 months that we were in office. So in the age of term limits, we don't have much time. So I want to thank my colleagues who will support this. Thank on behalf of all those families who are right now at this moment trying to figure out where will they sleep tomorrow, where will the kids go to school next week, because they have to live in a van or in a car just to stay in that school area. And I'm talking about the thousands and thousands of families that survive under these conditions. Thank you for your support, and hopefully it won't take us another 36 months to try to reach a resolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Councilmember Gruhl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I remember 3 years ago, I had just been elected, actually almost 3 years ago yesterday. And I was pleased to serve with Eric Garcetti and Ed Reyes on the Housing and Community Development Committee. And we heard a lot of testimony, both sides, about how we can solve this problem. And I know we said we'd have a temporary moratorium. We thought 6 months and a longer. But I think one of the most important items today is that everyone was at the table to make sure that we preserved housing and that we have housing that we can all be proud of in the city of Los Angeles. And so I wanted to stand up and thank Mr. Garcetti for his leadership on this as chair of housing, and that there are many of us on this council who have said we need to have this resolved, we need to move forward, and we need to create more affordable housing in Los Angeles and preserve what we have, at the same time protecting those tenants who desperately need that housing as well. So I'm pleased to stand in support of that today.
Thank you. That concludes the council members who wish to speak on this item. So the matter is now before us. Let me ask the clerk to open the roll, close the roll, Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That matter is approved, and we will send the ordinance forthwith to the mayor. Thank you. Members, congratulations. Let me recognize Councilmember Cardenas at this time. Mr. Cardenas, the Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. I move to reconsider item number 2 from last Friday's special meeting agenda. It did receive unanimous votes. We didn't have 12 members on Friday.
Is there any objection to reconsideration of the item from Friday's calendar? Open the roll on reconsideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That matter is before us.
And excuse me, just for councils, and for the record, the council file number is 030808 sub 1.
All right, that matter is now before us for consideration today. Seeing no speakers, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That matter is approved. We will send it forthwith. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Next item, Madam President, item number 26 was called special by Councilmember Labange.
Mr. Labange, item 26.
City Attorney, just to give a brief report, I'm sure all council's offices have been informed about this. Mark Brown, City Attorney. Excuse me.
Morning, council members. Mark Brown, Senior Assistant City Attorney. Since the council motion was introduced, we've reported that Anna Bing died on May 27th, 2003, and left a $4 million bequest to the city.
Quiet so we can please hear the speaker. So if you want to hold on a minute.
Sure.
Thank you.
Council.
Please go on, Mark.
Okay.
And could I ask people who are exiting to please be quiet so we can continue with the items on the agenda? Thank you. Mr. Cardenas?
I was just going to say we already missed.
Since the council motion was introduced, we've reported that Anna Bing died on May 27, 2003, and left a $4 million bequest to the city for acquisition of real property for use as playgrounds in underprivileged areas of the city. The choice of properties will be made by the trustees of the trust. The bequest requires the city to provide for the future operation and maintenance of the playgrounds and is conditioned on the city reaching agreement with the trustees on these points by May 27th of this year. While the motion was in the committee, a request was made to all council offices to submit qualifying projects and to identify a funding mechanism, including stakeholders who would provide for future maintenance of the proposed projects. As reported in the committee report, 11 sites have been proposed by council offices and by the Los Angeles Neighborhood Land Trust. Our office is working with the Department of Recreation and Parks to get more details on the improvements and development costs for those sites, as well as determine whether stakeholders were identified have funding they could commit for future maintenance of those projects. We're asking the council at this time to authorize us, with the assistance of the Recreation and Parks Department, the CLA and the CAO, as identified in the council's motion, to move forward to discuss the identified sites with the trustees so that the trustees may choose the properties to be acquired and/or developed, and we may negotiate and reach an agreement including how those properties would be operated and maintained in the future by the May 27th date, by the May 27th deadline, subject to approval of the Recreation and Parks Commission and of this council. So that agreement would come back to the council.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to, just rise on behalf of all the impoverished areas that don't have open space. Thank the Anna Bing Trust Foundation for their proactivity and their stepping up. I believe they are a role model, how other foundations and other entities in the region could literally make a huge difference for thousands of families who are living in amazingly crowded areas. Areas like Pico Union, Westlake, parts of South LA, Central LA, East LA, parts of the harbor. We have all these old tenement buildings that are still standing as a result of the kind of development that occurred at the turn of the century. They still exist. Those landlords who chose to abandon those structures, or we have landlords who just use these properties as a way to promote a tax write-off. We now have an instrument where we can be creative, perhaps work with rec and parks, and be proactive and much more nimble in moving these real estate transactions to create a green space for kids who don't have nowhere to play, literally nowhere to play. If I can take you to my district, I think you, but I'm talking about my colleagues, and I'm sure we've been through this before. I literally have children playing in fire escapes, in hallways, in crowded conditions. This is the kind of relief we need in the kinds of places that I think the Anna Bing Trust was trying to identify. I just hope that our Rec and Parks Department, along with the city family, is able to move quick enough to be able to make some flexible decisions within our rules in order to create new areas that we typically don't get into. So I believe we have some entities that are lying in the wings that can make that move and complement and really get to the bottom line, which is making quality of life for children much better, especially in conditions that wouldn't be accepted anywhere else. So thank you so much, and I hope we can move on this item and move on this great process, and thank all the private folks who've been working in this issue. Thank you so much.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you, Tom Labange, for navigating what were, very complicated waters in this and providing leadership to make sure we keep all of our options on the table. And I want to thank the City Attorney for his work as well. The Bing Trust and the Bing family is an amazing group of individuals, and the Bings have been friends of my own family for some time, and they I can think of no better way to honor memory of Anna Bing than to be able to do exactly what Mr. Reyes was talking about. Make this city, which is one of the park-poorest cities in the country, take a step forward in greening the most badly needed parts of the city. Like Mr. Reyes, my own district, I think, has the unfortunate, or did at least 3 years ago, have the unfortunate statistic of the lowest amount of green space of any council district, and with only 0.3 acres for every 1,000 people. National recommended urban average is 10 acres, so about 3% the park space that human beings should have to live and to prosper and to be able to have a healthy city. And we all set up in this chamber right here a neighborhood land trust because we wanted to try to do things differently, to say to one another that it was important to be nimble, to be able to act quickly, to have the best of the city expertise at the same time as the best of community and neighborhood-based knowledge come together, and to be able to look at parcels of land that were non-traditional, that were sometimes difficult for recreation and parks to take on, that are sometimes challenging for, in an era of limited resources, our city to take on all of the upkeep, maintenance, sometimes design, engineering, construction. And that's where I think by keeping the Neighborhood Land Trust options here on the table, it is exactly what this was intended to do, to assist us in government to explode those bureaucratic lines. And it doesn't matter if it's the city or a land trust, it's to get results, it's to get green spaces, and it's to make sure that every part of the city, the kids have a place to walk, to play within the distance of their own home. So I look forward to this moving forward. I want to thank the Bing Trust for their incredible generosity in this gift. We will make you proud, and I think when we are there at the openings of these parks, we will all have a smile on our face because we'll see those families playing, we'll see those seniors having a place to recreate, and we will all have a better city for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Are there members of the council wishing to be heard at this time? Mr. Labange?
Yeah, Mr. President, I just move we adopt this recommendation by our city attorney and thank our Recreation and Parks staff and Bureau of Engineering staff and CLA staff. Thank you.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. And again, all items approved today are going forthwith. Colleagues, before proceeding to the next item on the agenda, let me make a quick announcement. The time is now 11:25. We do have 12 members present. We do have 2 members excused to leave early and another member needing to leave early to attend to an MTA item. So we anticipate possibly losing a quorum at about the noon hour. We do have closed session and a number of other items called specials. So I think we're all collectively asking for some focus, some attention, and some brevity here. Got it? Got it. Next item, please.
Item number 27 was called special by Councilmember Labange.
Mr. Labange.
Steve Simon, please come in front desk here, members. This item number 27. John Chernoff is also with us. And Dr. Bobby Ho, please, for a brief report. Thank you.
Good morning, council members. Stephen Simon, City AIDS Coordinator. The item before you is the Disease Prevention Demonstration Project. It's based on last year's Senate Bill 1159. This received overwhelming support by this council in last year's legislative session. This bill brings California in line with 45 other states which allow for pharmacies to make sterile syringes available without a prescription. This is a vital intervention for HIV and hepatitis C transmission, and under the project, pharmacies will provide information and or facilitate access to HIV and hep C testing and treatment, access to drug treatment, and safe disposal of syringes. The demonstration project sunsets on December 31st, 2010. It was supported by the California Medical Association, California Pharmacist Association, and the California Health Officers Association, as well as national pharmacy chains Rite Aid and Walgreens. We do have a letter from Rite Aid, which we'll distribute to you all, ensuring their support in our successful implementation through their stores. And joining me this morning is Dr. Bobby Ho, representing Walgreens, the national pharmacy chain. Dr. Ho?
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Dr. Bobby Ho. I'm a pharmacist for Walgreens. My current position is pharmacy manager. I work in Huntington Beach. I've been asked to come and represent our company. We strongly urge for this bill to be passed. We feel the importance of the sterile syringes is essential to prevent HIV and hepatitis. Another essential factor would also be for diabetics also. We have a lot of tourists that come to our city, and sometimes they forget their supplies, whether it's syringes or their needles and their test strips and lancets and whatnot. Making this bill pass would make it easier for them, so to be readily accessible so they can come to any pharmacy, not just Walgreens, but any of our competitors to purchase the syringes. It would be easier. Also, 24-hour pharmacies are more prevalent now in our city, and it would make it easier for diabetics to get their supplies also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ho. Also joining me is Dr. John Chernoff, representing the Public Health Division of the Los Angeles County Health Department.
I just want to let you know, as your health department, we're prepared to implement this as soon as the city approves it.
So we've really worked well with Dr. Chernoff, and we'll continue to work with not only the pharmacy chains, but the health department to make sure this is implemented as effectively as possible in the city. That said, we request your authorization for the implementation of the Disease Prevention Demonstration Project within the City of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Labange.
Members, thank you very much. Thank each and every one of you, and I ask that we approve this matter and send forth this extremely important information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other council members wishing to be heard on this item? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved.
Forthwith, please.
All items approved today are going forthwith, members. Madam Clerk, next item.
Item number 29, called special by Councilmember Misakowski, and an amending motion has been distributed to the council.
Ms. Misakowski.
Members, this is our mid-year adjustment and financial status report. Budget and Finance Committee held a very thorough hearing. The CAO had prepared not only the report with a number of recommendations, but an addendum just updating some issues in committee. Attached to the special motion today is the second amendment prepared by the CAO, along with the controller, just making some technical corrections. We are moving any excess money that we have into the Reserve Fund for Economic Uncertainties, and I know that this council will look very, very closely at that and at the budget as it will come forward this year with a renewed zeal to really look at the trust fund for hiring more officers and finding every which way that we can economize, particularly on ongoing costs, so that those economies can go into the hiring of police officers. But this is just the mid-year adjustment where we had a deficit, but some revenue is coming in at a higher level. So we've made those adjustments in this report, and I ask for an aye vote on both the amendment and the committee report.
Okay. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, let's open the roll on the item as amended, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 50 was called special by Councilmember Ludlow.
Mr. Ludlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a verbal amendment that I want to make. There was a technical error on the report coming out of committee on February 25th. Colleagues, I'm asking that the technical amendment be read as follows. In addition to the 2-year extension, I request that the city attorney be asked to prepare and present within 30 days an ordinance to expand the scope of ordinance number 174400 relative to allowing the placement of signs on temporary construction walls to include vacant fence properties in all areas of Council District 10, except vacant fence properties in residential areas, which shall be approved by the council office.
Okay. Any objection to that amendment? Seeing none, we can consider the item as amended. There's no further speakers at this time. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 eyes.
That is approved. Have we reconsidered item 52 for Ms. Perry? No? Let's do that at this time. Ms. Perry moves reconsideration of item 52. Please open the roll on reconsideration, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Okay, Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much. This is just an item to delete a condition 5A. It's an L-shaped alley at 20th and Central, and the purpose of the deletion of this condition is to encourage the project and to make sure that we have good green space and good ratios and all that, to make it more conducive to fitting into the community. So all I'm asking for is a deletion of condition 5A.
Okay. If there's no objection to that amendment, let's reopen the roll on item 52 as amended. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 83 was called special for card from the public.
And let's call forward Ms. Sylvia Lynn Hawkins on item 83. What? Item 83. Are you passing here? Okay, she passes. Public hearing is now closed on item 83. Members of the council wishing to be heard on this item. Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 87, call special for cards from the public.
Item 87 now before us, and we call forward Valinda Wright.
Categorization of Chief Bratton as an assassin, like brochures, were going around. I think that's like not the way to respond to stuff. Lump individuals in, because of what one person, might do or whatever. I'm glad I didn't have to speak on that particular item. Have a good day, you guys.
Okay. Ms. Wright, while you're up here, you want to go ahead and address us on item 100 and 103? We'll do joint public hearing for item 96, 100, and 103. Ms. Valinda Wright has spoken. Thank you for being here. Let's close public hearing on all three of those items. Let's open the roll on item 87, 96, 100, and 103. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 eyes.
Those items are approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, item number 104 was called special for cards.
And the council calls forward at this time the one, the only, Mr. Melrose Larry Green.
This 104 is a great, I'm scanning through the agenda, and I see an item about declaring the Purim Carnival on March 20th a special event. Now, I take advantage of all of the ethnic activities in LA. Everybody knows I speak Spanish and I have many friends in the Hispanic community. Well, I invite everybody in this city to celebrate a great Jewish holiday, Purim. I called my Hebrew school teacher to give you the exact, I know you got a lot of stuff to do at noon, but it's a very happy holiday. B'nai Chaim literally means children of life. So it's a great temple, and I applaud Councilmember Gruhl for having this motion here. We eat Hamantaschen on Purim. It's a happy holiday. You're all invited, whether you're running for office or not. You're all invited to share a Hamantaschen, Nasha Hamantaschen, as we say in the generic Yiddish phrase, on Purim, on March 20th. And just throw that in. I am Jewish, and I almost became a rabbi, but I wasn't meant to go through rabbinical studies at Brandeis University, so I went into whatever it is I'm doing now. Thank you very much. That's all for now.
Thank you. This concludes public comment on item 104. Members of the council wishing to be heard? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Colleagues, the next item, call special, is 109, also to hear from Valinda Wright. She passes on speaking on item 109. We can now go forward with the vote. Let's open the roll on item 109, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item number 111, call special, well, there are cards, and also call special by Councilmember Labange, and a community impact statement has been submitted and distributed to all the council members.
Okay, the council calls forward Mr. Bill Kent at this time, who according to his card is for the proposal.
Good morning, I'm Bill Kent, and I live on Panorama Terrace, right near the corner of Angus, which is the spot where this project will impact. Now, there's a proposal to build 40 units right at the end of Panorama Terrace, up now what is essentially an alley. The people in the neighborhood knew nothing about this. This is essentially a bedroom community, and Silver Lake is considered kind of like a village community. And the proposal is to have 40 units, 4 stories high, which will block the views of a lot of the residencies of the Silver Lake area. But worse than that, it'll create the worst safety and traffic hazard you can imagine, because Panorama Terrace is a one-way street. Angus is almost a one-way street. Stood on the corner the other night and counted over 450 cars coming up Angus between the hours of 5 and 6. So we already have many gridlocks on Hyperion from Sunset all the way over to Rowena. If this thing goes through, it's going to be madness. It's going to be worse than the gridlock that's being created all around the city. So I'm just here to tell you what the people who live in Silver Lake feel about this. We had a meeting the other night, and it was raining, and in spite of the rain, we packed the auditorium with residents from Silver Lake who do not agree with this project. In fact, I haven't met anyone who does. Our representatives are trying to come to our aid to stop this project, and I just wanted you to know how the residents feel about this madness and the safety issue of putting those units there, and what it's going to risk for our kids who have to walk those streets with no sidewalks, and traffic occasionally has to back up to let cars through and so on. Please help us in this matter.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment on this item. Mr. Labange?
Thank you very much. I want to thank the people of Panorama Terrace for coming down, and Angus and Mitchell Trina. This is a situation that I know we're working very hard on, and this motion directs the departments to look at each and every issue. It is shocking to know that a impacted building like this possibly could be built on a parcel that would exit into a hillside, vertical street, a substandard street, and all the issues related to it. So we will continue to work with the community on this and try to do every effort to make sure whatever is built there, it is within the balance of the community that exists. Thank you very much.
Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just want to also reiterate my support as well, former Silver Lake resident and somebody who represents much of Silver Lake, though not this portion, that whatever Mr. Labange needs, I will back him up to make sure that those highest standards are adhered to, and anything that we can do to ensure that the community's voice and the community's needs there are met, that I will consider myself a right-hand man to him, and that I'm there as well to make sure that we get the right sort of community preserve that we all deserve in Silver Lake. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. If there's no further questions or comment on this item, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Item 111 is approved. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Mr. President, there is a special meeting that has been agendized. Do you wish to
Let's
recess?
temporarily recess the regular meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the special meeting.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange, Ledlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weinstein, Padilla, 11 members present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, colleagues. We have a 4-item special agenda. We have had public hearings on items 1 and 2. We don't have speaker cards on items 3 and 4, so let's open and close the public hearings for items 3 and 4 of the special agenda. Any specials, members, from the special agenda? Seeing none, let's open the roll on items 1 through 4. Let's close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. Also, all of these items are going forthwith. If that concludes the special meeting, then let's adjourn the special meeting and return to the regular meeting. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, do you wish to clear the desk before going into closed session?
Let's do housekeeping.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Motion shall be posted and referred.
There is an excuse on this. Councilmember Gruel requests to be excused Friday, April 15th to leave at noon for city business that meets council policy.
Ms. Gruel is excused.
And that clears the desk for closed session.
Okay, colleagues, let me recap here. We've done a good job last several minutes of dispensing with a lot of items. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 closed session items remaining. We have recommendations from the city attorney on these closed session matters. Anything before going into closed session? Mr. Labange?
Yeah, Mr. President, could I ask the city attorney a question on an item that we considered already?
Sure.
Item number 47, there's no public hearing required on that item?
That is correct. That is correct. There's no public required.
So there's no public hearing required on that, Mr. Diamond?
There was a
I'll talk to you on the side.
full public hearing in Plum, at least a
Full
2-hour
public
hearing.
In Plum. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much. If there's nothing further, then at this time, in conformance with California law, the council will now adjourn into closed session. Sergeants, please clear the chambers.
And that's in the amount of $575,000.
Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item is item 121, and that's settlement in the case of Coulter versus City of Los Angeles and William Bratton, and that's approving the settlement terms of the city attorney that the guilty findings of count 2 would be withdrawn, guilty findings in count 1 would remain unchanged, 4-day suspension would remain unchanged, and each side will bear its own city attorney's fees.
Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Next item is 122, and that's in the case of City versus Rocha et al., and that's in the amount of $499,000.
Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved.
And item 123 is settlement. It's a payment of outstanding franchise fees from Comcast, and that's $77,750.
Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved.
And that clears the desk.
Okay. And as a reminder, colleagues, all items approved today have gone forthwith. That's the end of our agenda. Do we have any announcements today? Mr. Labange.
Members, on the 17th of March, we'll celebrate St. Patrick's Day. As you may know, that's a Thursday, so there'll be no civic ceremonies. 163 consecutive years of Irish-American civic ceremonies here in our City Hall. But with the help of Councilmember Antonio Villaraigosa, with the great leadership of Captain Richard Andrade of Fire Station 3 downtown, and with the blessing of the great Jan Perry, we're going to have a wonderful parade. And we'll also have the civic ceremony in the plaza, in the birthplace of our city, the great history between Irish Americans and all people. So that's next Thursday, the 17th, and each of you, I think, did receive an invitation to be in the parade, except you, Mr. Zine. So other than that, I know I just love Zine. I just wanted to do that to our beautiful man, Dennis Zine. All of you invited, and notice should go out to your offices, so we'd love to have your participation, or members of your staff. Will be a fun day. It starts at Pershing Square, it goes up Broadway, comes up to First Street here, and right by our own City Hall, into the birthplace of Los Angeles. So for St. Patrick's Day, that is the day. Tom Larkin, a great citizen of Los Angeles, will be Irishman of the Year, as well as Sister Alice Marie Quinn from our Meals on Wheels program, which serves over 1 million meals to the needy in Central area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Mr. Zine.
Mr. Labange, I've participated in that parade many years, and I will do it once again. Thank you for the invitation.
I know.
And I know that you were just kidding because you'd like to pick on me,
Yes.
but I'd like to pick on you.
Thank you.
And remind you that in the San Fernando Valley, we also have a lot of Irish residents. And on the 17th at 2 o'clock, St. Patrick's Day Community March and Celebration in front of the Madrid Theater, and they have a parade on Sherman Way. So that'll be that afternoon in Canoga Park, Main Street, Canoga Park. And that is on Sherman Way, just east of Topanga Canyon. So all Valley residents are invited to come out St. Patrick's Day in the Valley on Sherman Way at the Madrid Theater. Thank you.
Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank and congratulate my odd council members, Mr. Zine, Mr. Weiss, Mr. Reyes, Ms. Perry, and Ms. Hahn.
We're not odd, we're just
and
odd
Garcetti.
numbered.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Zine. Council members, I'd just like to say it's been an honor and a pleasure working with you, and the fact that you were able to regain your responsibilities in the primary yesterday is a tribute to your good work and your ability to work for your community and do wonderful things for this city. And also on another note, we're getting one step closer to losing one of our finest council members, Ms. Misikowski, due to term limits and no other reason whatsoever. So thank you. It's been a pleasure and an honor working with you as well, Ms. Misikowski.
There's still a lot of time left.
Yes, I know.
Mr. Reyes.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to thank all of my colleagues for their grand support, those who visited our offices during this very competitive time. And I do know at times it got a little rough at the edges, but I just want to say to the whole community, the city of LA, this is a process about democracy. No one should believe in a coronation. We should let all the negative, all the ugliness that can arise subside, let it go away. Let's come back together. We have a great city with some great challenges, and together we can resolve them. And to set aside the bitterness and the ugliness will only help us in the future. So I want to thank all my colleagues for their strong support, their care, their phone calls, their dropping in, and the community and all the supporters who have helped each one of us win. We truly are here to serve. We are public servants. And those who are not satisfied, those who are angry, those who are in a state of mind that is not positive, can only make things harder. Let's look at ourselves, our communities in a manner that can produce, be constructive. And I just want to thank everybody for their support.
Ms. Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I too wanted to join in thanking those of my colleagues who so kindly and graciously dropped in and helped out where they could. And I also want to thank the people of the 9th Council District for being focused and to being engaged and really just getting out there and exercising their right, including so many people who have been categorized in ways that are disparaging, but people who are without permanent homes and are also members of the community which I serve, and them also exercising their right to vote. And I want to thank Frank Martinez, because in the morning we had some glitches, and I don't know about what happened in the other districts, but we did have some glitches, and Frank was extremely responsive and got a lot of professional and technical support and emergency support at the polling places where we had issues and problems, and I really want to thank him because I believe, as I'm sure many of you do, that he too believes in protecting people's right to vote and people's right to vote and to make sure that their ballots are cast, counted, and make it into Piper Tech. And I really, really and truly appreciate what he did yesterday, and all the staff of the city clerk, because they went beyond the call of duty to make sure that everyone's ballot was counted, cast, and brought in. And I think some of you even may know some of your relatives who helped in that effort, making sure that people's right to vote was upheld, and I want to express my public appreciation for that. Thank you.
And I too want to thank everybody, all the voters of Los Angeles who came out to vote yesterday. Important to participate in our democracy. And we have another chance in a couple of months. May 17th is the runoff date. So we'll have not only the runoff in the mayor's race, but a couple of ballot measures to vote on May 17th. Start spreading the word. Mr. Zine.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge and thank the voters of the 3rd Council District that returned me for another 4 years here, along with my colleagues. And we've worked extremely well together during this past 4 years and established some strong bonds, strong relationships, in a very cooperative fashion for the people of Los Angeles. Some of these campaigns became very nasty, and it's really unlike our tradition in democracy to turn to lies and innuendos and rumors to try and win an election. I know there were some unethical practices that took place in some of these elections, some intimidation, some threats, and some crimes, actually. And it's a sad commentary that that takes place when people are trying to get elected to public office. But when it's all said and done, democracy prevailed, and I believe the people returning to office are the ones who worked hard and followed the rules and practiced the rules and didn't violate the rules and are here to make sure that we can improve the quality of life for all of Los Angeles. I also want to, again, thank the people of the 3rd District. And I was watching those returns last night up until 5 o'clock this morning and seeing some of my colleagues had 100%. You probably rested easy, and some of us were waiting to see that final count, and we were waiting anxiously on those computers to watch it come through. So again, congratulations to all, and it's fun to have it behind you, so we can now move on with the agenda here at City Hall. Right on, Tom LaBonge. Thank you.
Mr. LaBonge.
I just wanted to thank all of you, but also, maybe I'll let Eric go first, but I think also we should acknowledge and thank Rocky Delgadillo for his reelection. Congratulate him, and also Laura Chick as our city controller. It's 2 individuals citywide also were reelected.
Okay. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President, and don't worry, Dennis, we were up till 5 a.m. too, because we were pretty nervous for you. So I wanted to thank the voters of the 13th Council District as well, especially all the folks who came out to all the community breakfasts that proved that a race is a race is a race, and we needed to boost voter participation. We handed out more than 1,000 new voter registration forms, which we hope turned into that many new voters. But in Silver Lake and Echo Park and East Hollywood and Hollywood and Atwater Village and historic Filipino town and Glassell Park, coming together to make this a campaign, not about one person, but about an entire community. I'm very proud of the district for everything they've done in terms of coming out and voting yesterday, and make sure that we continue to do that 2 months from now as well. And congratulations to Jan and to Ed and to Dennis and to Jack and to Alex and who am I missing? And Janice. So, absolutely. Thanks.
Other announcements? If not, certainly, colleagues, I also want to thank the voters of my district for their confidence in me and in my staff, and re-electing our team for another 4 years. I want to thank my staff for all the hard work that they do, putting us in a good position, providing good service and responsiveness to our constituents. That's what allows us to keep serving in the capacities that we do. And to all of you, again, for the teamwork. I think this is a good group that's been together for a couple of years. We're looking at pretty good stability here for the next 2 years, and maybe even 2 years after that. So with all the challenges facing the city, we need to pull together even more as time goes on. And the last announcement is that after today's council meeting, the council will be in recess for a week. There will not be a council meeting this upcoming Friday, nor next Tuesday, nor next Wednesday, as a number of council members are participating in the National League of Cities Conference in Washington, D.C. So the next council meeting will be next Friday, the 18th of March. Not this Friday. A week from this Friday. So if there's no other announcements, members, we have adjourning motions. Please rise. Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last night, Jeffrey Gibbs informed me about the passing of Deborah Hill. I ask that we adjourn in Deborah Hill's memory, who passed away March 7th, 2005. She was the producer of the movie Fisher King and the movie Halloween, starring Jamie Lee Curtis. She was only 54 years old. She passed away of colon cancer. She was one of the pioneering women in film, and her father was a director of the Bob Hope and Bing Crosby's Road Pictures. Just amazing kind of Hollywood pedigree, and somebody who was very respected by her own peers and in the Hollywood community as well. She's survived by her parents, Gilda and Frank Hill of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, her brother Robert of Jacksonville, Florida, her friend Barbara Ligeti as well. May she rest in peace.
Mr. Labange.
Thank you. Members, I ask that we adjourn in memory of James Edward Ryan, Los Angeles native, attended Loyola High School, Loyola University, and Loyola Law School. His son Brendan, of his 6 children, was a very successful St. Louis Cardinal who got his start in the Toluca baseball program in the 4th District. He also coached as a young father there. He was a grandfather and a very proud Irishman in the LAPD, James Edward Ryan. And also survived by his wife Katie, his daughters Julie, Teresa, Denise, and his sons Paul, Mark, and Brendan. And members, another person I'd like to ask that we adjourn in memory was Lucy Fuqua, who, with her husband Bill, who some of you may know Bill, who was involved with the Wilshire area and also Washington Tire. Lucy Fuqua, a life partner for over 50 years, Los Feliz residents, unfortunately succumbed recently. They're a beautiful family, and they're an absolutely tremendous couple. Their daughters Pamela, Sherry, and Deborah, and son William Jr. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Lucy Fuqua. And finally, members, I ask we adjourn in memory of Teresa Wright, who was 86 years old, who was a tremendous actress, nominated for an Oscar in each of her first 3 films. I remember her personally from the old Pride of the Yankees, where she starred with Gary Cooper. Because personally, Cindy, after watching that movie, I proposed to my wife. It's how Teresa Wright portrayed Lou Gehrig's wife in that great classic film. 86 years, a tremendous actress, grew up in New Jersey. Ask that we adjourn in memory of Teresa Wright. Thank you.
Ms. Mizikowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like us to adjourn in the memory of Albert Burke, a resident of Westchester who died on Sunday, February 27th. Al served 29 years ago in Vietnam as a veteran, and while there, he was affected and concerned about seeing what was happening to some of his fellow vets in terms of the hospitalization and sometimes feeling alone and abandoned. So he started Operation Christmas Card, in which he coordinated the efforts of friends, scout groups, school children, veterans groups, and others to send holiday cards to hospitalized veterans. In 2003, 18,000 holiday cards were sent under his watch. Last year, he received a special letter of commendation from President George W. Bush for his many, many years of devoted service to hospitalized veterans. He is survived by members of his family and his many, many friends in Westchester, and in particularly the Westchester Elks. So I ask that we adjourn in his memory.
Other tributes? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned.
You are watching LA City View, Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
We now join our scheduled program in progress.